Hello! I'm wearing my glasses today and I'm going to be talking about the Emperor card. He's pretty great. I'm a big fan. He really represents the divine masculine, just as the Empress is the divine feminine. He is a king who is well loved by his subjects for his wise and effective leadership. He doesn't concern himself with the opinions of others, regardless of whether those people are offering him praise or criticism. He can be thought of as the father of the world, offering guidance and good counsel to anyone who needs it. There are 4 other kings in the deck, in the court cards, but the Emperor rules over them all. You can think of those kings even as being the Emperor's 4 sons, but they will always defer to him on the important issues. This card, when it comes up in a reading, might represent your own father or the father of your querent, or simply a father figure, a boss that you're close with, or just a person who has that power. Like when they command a room, they walk in and you go, that person is in charge, I'm pretty sure. That person is, the embodiment of the Emperor card. It can also come up in a reading to show you, maybe you should seek counsel from someone who is really good at whatever subject it is you're asking about. Or it can be heralding the fact that you or your querent is about to see a rise to power come for them. Like they might get a promotion at work or something like that. Especially if you see the Emperor combined together with like a lot of pentacle cards and money cards, then you'll probably want to read that as a promotion. But we have to remember that being king is not always easy, right? The crown weighs heavy on the head, and the throne, not a comfortable chair. So if you do come into a position of leadership, or if that's what you're reading for your client, remind them that being a good leader means not only taking responsibility for what they do, but also accepting responsibility for the actions that are performed by the people that they're leading. And the outcome of those actions is always going to come back to them. And also remind them to be decisive and be confident and, own that. Be willing to own their throne. If you are sitting on the throne but you don't own it, you don't believe that you deserve this power, that you can handle it, then you're probably gonna have an uprising or some heresy happening. So don't let that go on. Actually, speaking of thrones, if we look at the throne in this card, there's ram's heads, 4 of them. And so this card is ruled by the sign of Aries. Most of you know probably that Aries is ruled by Mars and is the god of war. So some aspects are obvious and apply to the Emperor, like he's confident, he doesn't back down from a fight, he's very courageous. But another interesting and important aspect is that Aries is very honest. If you want honest, truthful advice, go and ask an Aries, ask the Emperor. But if you want someone to say, oh, it's probably fine, and just sugarcoat it and tell you everything's gonna be all right, tell you little white lies, don't ask them, ask somebody else. Also, the Emperor is holding the Ankh in his hand. And I'm sure you also know the Ankh is depicted with lots of Egyptian gods and pharaohs. And the pharaohs, the Ankh represents everlasting life. And lots of pharaohs had huge statues of themselves built in order to try and achieve this immortality. But there are better ways to be remembered. A good leader can leave a legacy that is shown in the success of his employees, in the happiness and the bounty of his family. You know, your great-great-grandfather could become a millionaire, build his own business and expand, and then you can go and get an art history degree if you want, because it doesn't matter. Also in this image, the emperor has a nice long white beard. So he's old and therefore wise, but he's not so old that his body and his mind have started fading. He's really at the prime age for a ruler because he has experience, but he also still has, you know, the go-get-em courageous Aries spirit. Also, a bit of symbolism from this card that's kind of more subtle is the mountains in the background. If you can see that, it's kind of like a cliff. So to me, that really indicates that someone had to climb to the top of those mountains to build this throne. Maybe it wasn't this emperor, maybe it was his father, or maybe it was his father's father. But that climb is part of the story of this rule at some point. And it being number 4 in the deck is very relevant. 4 in numerology is a number of a good foundation, a lot of stability. And the strength of a square, 4 sides, comes from each side being equal. And that balance that's created from that. So while the emperor is in charge, he doesn't hold himself above his subjects. His shape is not a pyramid, right? It's a square where everybody works together, is equal. A really interesting part of this card that's maybe even more subtle than the mountains is that he's holding this orb. And the orb was an emblem of royal power, similar to the Ankh, but the orb was used by Roman emperors to illustrate their connection to Jupiter or to the divine, which they figured gave them the right to rule. So we know, of course, that Roman emperors were pretty much jerks who sacrificed a lot of people's lives in the endless pursuit of more and more power. But we can flip that divine connection and look at it a different way and learn from it. So if a person is aware of their own divinity, then their leadership will be measured and free of greed or wanting for more, you know. There won't be that never-ending expansion just for the sake of expansion. And if a person recognizes that they are one with the other people around them, then surely they will become a steward of their world and do all that they can to serve and assist those around them. We, in this day and age, could probably use more leaders like this. You know, more leaders who are caring, who aren't greedy, you know. How to align yourself with the energy of the Emperor card? There's one easy way for lucky people. If you have a good relationship with your father or a father figure, go and see them. Talk about life and see what kind of wisdom they have to share with you. Listen to their stories about the process of becoming a father or climbing the corporate ladder or building their business. Dear old dad probably has some really solid advice for you. Alternatively, if you don't have a relationship with your father, then you can simply ask yourself what kind of a father you would want to be. Regardless of your gender, just imagine that you're the father in this scenario. Make a list of the traits of a good leader or father and do your best to embody those things. Call up your younger siblings or your children or anyone else that you feel you are looking out for. Check on them. See how they're doing, you know? Live that powerful life and be the leader. I know that leadership doesn't come easily to everyone, but it's definitely a great way to grow. If you're someone who normally doesn't take on that role, try it out. I mean, there's always somebody who can learn from what experience you already have. Your little cousin, you know, even like someone at your work who's the newbie, or who's younger than you. Sometimes even people who are older than you. I mean, I'm a pretty young tarot reader. A lot of people come to me and think, shouldn't you be old? But regardless of age, I can still give people decent advice, and so can you. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.